NewsRme. NASA's Artemis mission will usher in a new era of moon exploration. The Space Launch System, America's massive new moon rocket, is almost ready for launch. The Space Launch System, SLS, is NASA's most potent spacecraft to date and will serve as the backbone of the agency's Artemis project, which intends to return humans to the moon's surface after a 50-year absence. The launch is scheduled for Monday at 8:33 local time, 12:33 Greenwich Mean Time, 13:33 British Summer Time, from the Kennedy Space Center. It will be used to launch an experimental capsule dubbed Orion into deep space. After making a wide orbit around the moon, this spacecraft will eventually come home to splashdown in the Pacific Ocean. This entire mission will take about 6 weeks. In this demonstration, Orion is unmanned, but in 2024, if all goes well, astronauts will board it for a succession of increasingly difficult flights. As NASA astronaut Randy Bresnik put it, "We're looking at everything we're doing with this Artemis I flight through the prism of what can we prove out and what can we demonstrate that will buy down risk for the Artemis II crewed mission. Sending photographers to the moon to show us what it looks like. Towards the moon and beyond, Artemis. Methods for returning to the moon with humans." The United States Space Agency can launch SLS Orion numerous times in the coming week, but it will prioritize the next available opportunity. This time of year in Florida, electrical storms pass over the spaceport frequently due to the state's highly variable climate. As it turns out, the pad's lightning towers have been hit multiple times in the past few days. Flying conditions are typically the calmest early in the morning on Mondays. According to meteorologist Melody Lovin, the weather is most likely to cooperate during the start of the launch window at 8:30 a.m. However, if technical difficulties postpone the launch until later in the allocated 2-hour window, the likelihood lowers to 60% due to the expected invasion of showers. If it's raining, the rocket can't take off. Can Artemis replace Apollo in the minds of today's youth? The year 1969 marked the beginning of a golden age in space exploration when astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin took their first hesitant feet on the moon. The Apollo program altered humanity's perspective of Earth and its place in the universe. After a pause of 50 years, the moon is once again a target for humankind. And it is hoped that Artemis will serve as an inspiration to a new generation of people who were not alive during the Apollo missions. New missions will be different. NASA hopes to prove that space travel is accessible to all by sending the first woman and the first person of color to the moon. Furthermore, the moon's surface is only the beginning. NASA has far grander ambitions, with Mars as the next target. And that's a tremendously big step to take. An estimated 200,000 people will crowd the shores and causeways of Kennedy. On Sunday, camper vans began staking out prime locations. One anticipates a breathtaking view from the peak. The launch of SLS will require 39.1 mN, 8.8 million lb, of force. That's over 15% more powerful than the Saturn V rockets that took Apollo astronauts to the moon in the 1960s and 1970s. Alternatively stated, the SLS's engines can provide the thrust of over 60 Concorde supersonic jets during takeoff. Lorna Kenna, vice president of the Jacobs Space Operations Group, a significant contractor at Kennedy, promised that this rocket would be larger, louder, and more stunning than any you've seen before. Nothing beats the sensation of being immersed in sound rather than merely listening to it. The primary goal of the mission is saved till last. The heat shield protecting Orion on its re-entry into Earth's atmosphere is a top priority for the engineers. At 38,000 km per hour, 24,000 miles per hour, or 32 times the speed of sound, Orion is approaching rapidly. According to Lockheed Martin's Orion program manager Mike Hawes, even the strengthened carbon that protected the shuttle was only suitable for roughly 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, 1,600 C. Our current temperature is more significant than 4,000 degrees, 200 C. We're using the ablative AVCode again, which we first used on the Apollo missions. It's prioritized testing and assembled in blocks with a gap filler. This mission is significant not only for NASA but also for the European Space Agency. It's responsible for supplying Orion's service module. This back part of the capsule generates the thrust of space. Europe hopes this gift in kind will increase the likelihood that its citizens will be able to participate in future trips to the Moon's surface. Planned missions extend to Artemis 9. On the Moon, astronauts should have access to shelters and roaming vehicles by that time. However, Artemis is eventually intended as a test bed for sending humans to Mars. Obama has already established a deadline for that to happen. NASA Chief Bill Nelson recalled that he gave a date of 2033. Successive governments have shown support for the program, and I've been told that its completion is now realistically expected in the late 2030s or early 2040s at the earliest.